All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, here we are at another uh, Q&A on Monday nights at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. I'm very excited to see you guys here. Whoever's here, hopefully we can help out. Today we're going to talk about security. A lot of people ask about security. What do I do? What can I expect? We're going to talk about bolting down your ATM. We're going to talk about maybe some protocols when you're carrying cash, what you should do. We're also going to talk about reconciliation or how to cash management your ATM. So I hope you guys find this insightful. If you got any questions, again, always ask questions in the chat. You're more than welcome to do that. And we're going to start out pretty soon in a couple of seconds here and just talk about this. We have a conference that we're going to talk about in Vegas at the end of month, at the end of March. And one of the talking points they're talking about is security. So I thought I'd bring some of those Q&As that they're talking about into this local Q&A. So, all right. So one of the things is when you're in the ATM business, you will either choose to do or not to do is to bolt down your ATM. Now, one of the protocols we do here at PDQ is I let them know right in the beginning, look, right before we sign the agreement, we let them know, look, here's the situation. I have to bolt this ATM down. I'm not going to put it in here without bolting the ATM. Now, in some cases, the people are renting the store. So they might say, well, I got to talk to my landlord. And at that stage, I said, look, you're only going to put a hole in the floor as big as my finger. Do you really need to call your landlord to ask that question? Some proceed and says, nah, I don't need to. It'd be fine. And they don't ask your landlord. Because I know that as soon as the landlord gets involved, there's a chance that they won't want to bolt it down. And the landlord will say, no, don't bolt it down. Don't put any holes in my floor, this and that, whatever the situation is. I don't want to come over to that objective. So I try to minimize that and say, look, we're just going to drill little holes into the floor and there's secure the ATM. And then some store owners will say, well, if you decide to leave, will you fill that in? Yes, we'll put in, we usually put in some silicone into the holes. Again, it's not that big. Usually the dust from the cement is there. We can pack that back in, silicone it up, and it'll be pretty much fresh as new. There will be a little traces of a hole, but for the most part, it's not too bad. So, but that's what we do. Now, what we do is if it's wood or it's cement, most of the time it's going to be a different setup. So if it's cement, what we're going to do is we're going to use a hammer drill and we will drill into the cement. Usually it's about, and here I got a setup here that I brought in. So what we'll do is we will place the ATM into the spot where we're going to drill. Before we drill, we ask the store owner, hey, is this going to be okay, this spot right here for the ATM? Make sure that they sign off on it. Yes, I don't have a problem. That's fine. We're gonna put the ATM right here. So they say, okay, I don't have a problem. All right, we put the ATM in place. Then what we do is we get a marker. We circle in our where the holes are going to be, and then we pull the ATM back. Now, there's two ways to do this. There is where you can take your hammer drill in, and then you could pound. I know we don't do this, but you could pound in. There's something like it looks kind of not necessarily like this, but you pound in this anchor. It goes in the floor, and then there's up on it, and then once it's in the floor, then what you're going to do is put the ATM over the top of this, set it down like this, and then you're going to put the nut on it that way. A lot of guys use that one. I don't use that one. What we do is we drill into the floor, and then we use this right here. You can see it's about 2.5 inches, and then this thing spreads apart on the bottom, and then you're going to put in your screw that goes this way. Okay, so that's the way we do that. Now, we also use one of these things that go over, and we use a big washer like this. Okay, so there's your setup, pretty much like that. That's the way we do that. Now, some guys, they don't use, this is a pretty big one. Some guys use a little smaller one, this, and then sometimes they don't really use the washer. Now, what the problem with not using a washer is, I have seen where guys can lift up the ATM enough where it bends, and then they can get something underneath there to cut the bolts, or what they do is they'll bend the ATM. I've even seen some of the older ATMs, because they've been rocked back and forth, where it bends the ATM, and see this bolt, because they don't use the right washers, it'll actually come over the top of the ATM. So I've seen some ATMs that have been stolen, and that's because they didn't use all this. Now, if a thief or whatever, they have ample amount of time, they can do whatever they want to the ATM. What we're trying to do is minimize amount of time that they have in there. We're here in Chicago. There's a lot of courageous guys out there right now trying to steal ATMs, but they're only in there for 5 to 10 minutes. So what you want to do is make sure your ATM is bolted to the floor as much as you can, because if it is bolted, then what will happen is it'll make it harder to steal the ATM if they are trying to steal it. So you want to keep them as long, because what you want to do is have them come in, and then after they're in there for a while, they can't, it just takes them too long, they move on to something else, or they move on to another store. Most of the stores that we do, probably almost every one has an alarm. So the alarm is 2 minutes. So they go in, they hit the alarm, 2 minute response time, 5 minutes, usually 7 minutes. They're into the whole process. And you want to keep, if they can't get the ATM out in that time, then they're not going to be able to steal it, because they got to get out of the store before the police come. Now, thank God, most of the police right here in this area, they're still responding to the calls to help out, and they're minimizing ATM thefts. But you get in some rural areas, and you might have more time. That's why we use that type of bolt. Now let's say, what are your thoughts on concrete screws versus wedge sleeves and anchors? Okay, so again, this is my for Mr. Jones. I use these again, and I'm going to show you. I use these. I find this to be the best situation, because then I don't have to go over the top of the bolt. It's easier for more of a one-man show to do. And these anchors really work really good. The other way, I'm not a big fan of the other one. I know a lot of guys use it, but I don't use it. These are the ones that I use. So that's my thoughts. All right. So where can I buy? The question is, where can I buy the anchors? Any hardware store. Well, we get these at Ace. I'm an Ace guy, because I don't know if you guys got Ace throughout the other part of the country. I'm an Ace guy. The local guy here, he owns a store. So even though it's a chain, he's got his own store. I like to support small business on small business. I like to support small business. So what we do is we go up there. I usually buy a box of these at a time. And then if they don't have them, then I order them from, his name's Tom, owns it, local Ace Hardware for me, and been going there for years, because I like to support small business. So a lot of guys, they can go to Menards. We have Menards here. We got Home Depot. We got True Value. I just tend to go to the Ace, just because I might even have to pay a little bit more. I don't care. I like the guy. He's a good guy. I was always one of those guys that like to go to Ace, because of when you walk in there, was always, when I was a young kid, there was always an older guy. It's like, hey, I got this thingy. And they would say, you know what? No problem. I know exactly what you're talking about. They come over and they help me. I always like that. And I still like that now. So I like that service, that customer service. So anyways, we go to Ace and we buy these. And then if I don't have them, that I order from the guy, he usually gets it in a week. So that's what we use to secure the ATM and cement. Now, if it's wood, we go the other way. Hey, how you doing? We go the other way, and imagine this would be a long lag bolt, but what we do is the ATM would be, or the floor would be here. We'll actually drill down, because it's wood, and then we come up from the basement this way. We put it, like that. We put one of these on the wood part, so it can't come through, and then this would be the ATM, and then I'll put my washer and my nut right here. So we're going to come from the bottom up. That way it's harder to steal. Now, I guess if it was an inside job, I guess they could loosen this up. I put lock washers on it to make it really hard to do. But I guess if they had enough time, they could really do anything. We don't usually lose, if it's a wood place, we don't usually lose the ATM because of it's so hard to get. Most of the time, nobody's going to think about going in the basement, but that's what we do to do the wood. All right. So wood is different than cement. Now, one of the challenges is what if you can't, we've been in situations where there's a crawl space to get into wood. A lot of the places in Chicago, they have basements. So it's very easy to get into the basement for a lot of these buildings. But I have heard of places where, they had a basement apartment, they couldn't get in. I chose to walk away from the deal because if I can't secure it, I got to get out. I got to get out of the deal. But some people, they choose to stay. Also, I've been in a situation where they have ceramic tile and the people don't want for you to drill through the tile. So I have a ceramic tile bit that works. It won't crack the tile. You can buy that at any local hardware store, but that's something that you guys got to decide what you're going to do. But you'll know, hey, I walk in a place, we're going to put it into the place. When you sign the agreement, now you see there's a tile. I ask them, hey, is there a basement? There's not a basement. If there is a basement, where can I go look at it? I have to drill through the floor. We got to come up. And so they explain that whole situation. So I know when we go into the place, what we need, what kind of anchors we need. Do we need a hammer drill? Do we need the non-hammer drill? What do we need? All right. So somebody asked me about, how much is a hammer drill? So it depends on what kind of hammer drill it is. Like there's a Bosch drill that we used to use for right now. We got a Milwaukee cordless drill. That drill, I don't know how much it is today, but I paid $800 a few years ago for that drill. That was before COVID. I don't know what it is now. It might be $1,000, but we use the drill all the time. So it was an investment in the business. But before that, we had a Bosch drill. It was a hammer drill. And again, I don't know today's prices, but when we bought it, it was about $150. My guess is I don't necessarily know, probably be $200 right now. I tell guys all the time, you can go to a rental place and rent the Bosch drills probably for $50, $60. If you got a secondhand used tool store, there's always a drill in there. The drill, that Bosch drill was, I don't know, we used it probably for 15 years. It was a tremendous drill. Never had a problem. I sold it to another guy who's in the ATM business, but that was a good drill. So if you're thinking about buying a used drill, go to a secondhand store, get a Bosch drill. If you're just going to rent it because you're thinking, what am I going to do? Use it a couple times a year, then rent the drill. But that drill basically cuts through concrete like butter. It's a good investment. And then get yourself a good drill bit. And then, buy the drill bit. And then all you have to do is rent the drill when you go from there. All right. Questions. Well, let's see what else we got. All right. So now, let's see what else we got. All right. We want to talk about, okay. So security. Here's some questions. I can't see any questions. I only got, where's the questions? Okay. What drill do you use? Okay. So what drill do you, because it didn't show up. What drill bit do I got? I wonder why it's not showing up on here. That's weird. Huh. Okay. So one of the questions is, what drill bit you use for wood? So I just use, we have a Milwaukee drill for the wood. It's different from the hammer drill for the cement. So I have I don't know what model it is, but I have a different drill bit for the wood versus the cement. So we have our Milwaukee drill. And then what we do is we use the drill to secure the nuts down too. I usually started with the drill and then get it so far. And then we do it with a socket set or a regular box wrench. All right. So, hey, Ernie's here. All right. So securing an ATM at a ATM mobile event. He wants to know, what do I do? Okay. So what we do is Ace again has long. We bought padlocks. And what we did, we all had them all keyed the same. So you can get a padlock series and just key it the same. So I did that with all our padlocks are keyed the same. And then I got about a 15-foot cable. That what we do is when we secure a ATM, we have a kiosk. We put all the ATMs in the kiosk, and then what we do is we have spikes about 2 feet long. We pound the spikes into the ground, and then we secure the ATM usually to a light pole or a telephone pole, or if it's in the middle of the venue, we'll secure two mobile kiosks back to back. So they would have to steal both at the same time. That's usually what we do. Or we'll go to a tent. Usually, if there's tents, or sometimes they have the generators, we'll pull it secured to the backside of the generator. But if it's in the middle of the event, then I go back to back with two units like that and secure them to back like that. So that's how we get away with the ATM in the mobile events. But also in the mobile events, we take the money out at night. So that means, we go there in the beginning, let's say the event opens up at 11 o'clock. I'm usually there 9:30. Oh, now it all come through. I'm usually there 9:30, 10, and in the morning, or one of the guys are there. We put the money in the ATM, and the event opens or closes at 11 o'clock. I'm usually there at 10 and 11. And then if there's security there, I usually ask the security guys to walk out with me because I got to be my back. But usually we're taking the money out when the events. So they're moving the crowd this way. Once they move past my ATM, that's when I usually get the money, or one of our guys get the money. Security usually walks us out, and then we get out. We get usually a parking pass with the mobile event, so we can park real close. I always let security know I'm there, and then when we leave, they give me usually a courtesy walk back to the car, and away we go. So that's how we do the mobile events. Let's see, outdoor mobile events specifically. Okay, so Ernie, that's how, or new, however you want to call yourself on the thing, but that's how we do those. Again, and usually, it depends. If you're a one-man show, then just talk to security when you enter in the park. And again, when you go to get the mobile event, ask for a parking pass. So you don't want to park way out in the field, and then you got to walk through a crowd. So we get usually vendor passes. That's what they call them. We ask for a vendor pass so we can park right next to the event. A lot of times I go right into the event. So sometimes we'll put the ATM by the beer truck or by the ticket booth. I'm actually able to drive right up to the ATM to do this, or real close, park the car. Maybe we got 2 or 3 ATMs, call security. They walk us through, they watch our back. We grab the money, we get in, and then we go out of the event. So that's how we do that. All right. Let's see. Faithful, working on my second ATM now, Phil. All right. Good job. I love that. Plan on purchasing another one soon. I love that. Mr. Daniel Bean, my man. Let's see. Phil, I love all your knowledge. Yeah, he's lying to me, but it's okay. I like it for the channel. Let's see. Do you guys sell kiosks for Gen Mega 2500? Yes, we do. So we have a kiosk that we can sell for the 2500. Now the 2500 is a little yeah, it's the same. I was thinking it was the Onyx, but you know what? It's the same. But yes, we have a kiosk that we can sell. You probably, it depends on what it is this year. Shipping is really killing us with that. But I would say it's probably about 18, anywhere from 1600 to 22 for a kiosk. It's because of the shipping. It's not an actual cost, but the shipping is a killer on those. But yes, we have them if you need them, Ernie, no problem. Have you ever been robbed? Yes, I have been robbed. Not personally myself, but the location has been robbed. We had a store recently, maybe like a month and a half ago. And the funny thing is, we had a liquor store that the guy who owns the liquor store had cameras and security, what do you call it, on there, and his son was on the police force. So all of those things. So yeah, security, alarm. They came in. They came in. They busted in. They sawzawed the ATM out of there. So yes, I have been. And we got robbed during the Chicago, the riots. We didn't get robbed, but they burnt the building down. So I consider it robbed, but basically they just torched the whole strip mall. And then when that happened, we lost our ATM. So let's call it a robbery because I lost the money anyway. So it didn't matter. But unfortunately, in today's society, sometimes that does happen, but we try to protect ourselves from it happening to the best of our ability. In that case that happened, that was one of the things that I was under impression, hey, you know what? I thought we had this washer right here and we didn't have this. We had a lesser quality of this. So what happened is, this is a learning experience for you guys too. We took over an existing spot from the previous ATM owner, and it was our fault. So I'm blaming myself because we went in. So they had the anchors, like the one gentleman asked, hey, which way do you go? Well, they had the anchors, the old anchors where you pounded them in. Well, guess what? When the other guy took his ATM out, he left them in there. And when we put them in, not me, but one of the guys on the team, they just used the old stuff. So it was easy to pry it up enough, and we just used the nut. So my fault. We didn't secure the ATM like I'm telling you guys to. Then since then, I've been looking at all our stuff to go reinforce this. So because we didn't use the proper thing, it cost me from making a mistake. So hey, this works every time. Just use this. This is a great thing. All right. So what's this? Let's say this is James from Pittsburgh. I talked to you about a few weeks ago. I'm still trying to get my LLC in Pennsylvania state. Is backed up 4 months. Oh, geez, that's terrible. That's terrible. Give me a call on that, because I know like a person. I know, like we had a guy, and he had some challenges with Pennsylvania, but he wasn't filling out the paperwork. So let me know if I can help in any way on that Pennsylvania deal. Okay, a little off the subject, but do you have a resource you can direct me in order to show a bank I'm not a money service business? So I can give you, you know what we can do is on that, here's what you do. Just tell them that my partner wants to talk, and Derek, here's what you do. Just send me over the banking information, and I'll talk to them. I've helped other people get a bank account because the banking people didn't understand. I gave them the proper lingo, and it helped out. Now, does it help out every time? No, but it helped out on a few times. I was able to convince the bank to go with these people. So you know what? Get the information from the bank. I'll talk to the lady or the man, whoever it is, and maybe I'm able to help. Okay, Derek. So that's the best I can do. But I have been able to convince them because I know what to say. And when they tell you you're a money service business, I just say, let me talk to a manager, and I shoot them the information that we're not a money service business, because you can Google what a money service business is, and it clearly says that ATMs are not. Now they say, well, we consider it but that's not fair, because that's not what it is. So you got to talk to a manager sometimes. Have you ever had your bank account shut down? No, I haven't. Been very fortunate. We've been dealing with the same bank for over 20 years. But I can tell you that some of the people have been dealing with banks for a long time. And what happened is they got sold to another bank. And then they're a challenge. Here in Chicago, we had a bank called First Midwest, which was a phenomenal bank. And a lot of people use them. And then this company out of Indiana, Old National, bought them. And now Old National is really hard on the ATM guys. We never used First Midwest, but I know a lot of ATM operators in Chicagoland did. And now it's a challenge because Old Dominion or Old National has come in. So I've been very fortunate, knock on wood, but it is an issue that when banks merge, and it could happen at any time. So what we do is we have a backup to the ATM. So once you get your account, my next thing is open up a bank somewhere else. If you got 3 ATMs, put one over there. If you got whatever, just put one over into that other account and throw them some business and go talk to them from time to time. And you know what? That way your backup is still there in case you do have that. So that would be my recommendation. Okay. What else we got? Okay. So then the other thing is the security is when you guys are filling your ATM, you know what? Don't fill them make sure that you don't fill them on the same day. Don't say, okay, well, every Friday at 3:00, I go to this ATM. If you got multiple ATM, if you got one ATM, flip the days. Maybe you go on Friday, maybe you go on Tuesday, flip the day, move the day, and then move the time. So maybe if you go there every Friday, move it to Thursday, then move it back to Friday, then change the time. Maybe go there on Saturday. So move the time if you got one. If you got multiples, and let's say you run it, let's say you got 5 stops, run 1 through 5, and then next week run 5 through 1, run it backwards, and then change the dates, and then change the time. Just wait so you don't make yourself a target. And then the other thing you want to do is try to keep a low profile. I know one of the things that drove me crazy, we used to walk into an ATM spot, and the person was, oh, the ATM guy's here. And then everybody in the bar would turn and look and see the guy. And then so my guy said, I don't like this. So I went and I talked to the owner. I said, please tell the bartender not to announce the guy's ATM guy. We don't need a target on our back. We're trying to get in and out of here is undetected as possible to fill the ATM. So that's what we try to do. Now, the other cases, sometimes, maybe it's at the end of your route, you want to talk to the owner. Okay, fine. Then talk to the owner, but do it. Make sure that you're not conspicuous when you're doing that, because you don't know who's watching. You try to keep yourself safe. All right. How you recommend swapping cassettes when loading? All right. So when that is, I would do it with a backpack. If you're going to swap cassettes, and we had a bunch of locations, it was 15, anywhere from 12, 14. If it's more, to me, and this is where you make the decision. When it's over 12,000, we usually swap cassettes. So if it's a $12,000 place, we're going to swap the cassettes, which means we're going to pull the cassette out, we're going to put the new cassette in, and we're going to pull the old cassette out. So on that, it might be a backpack situation. You walk in with a backpack, you look the place over, and then you're in and out as fast as possible. So I would recommend I'm sure but backpacks and flip it in and out. But I've been in those spots sometimes, bad neighborhoods, and I ask the store owner, hey, I'm here. I look at the place, make sure there's nobody around, and then ask the store owner if they could watch my back while I'm doing this, or one of our guys are doing this to swap. A lot of times what we do is we swap the money in and out. We don't just add, we swap the money. And that goes to my last point of the night, is what we're doing is we're swapping cash out all the time. So we put the new money in, we take the new money, the old money out, and we do that so we can reconcile on a daily basis, and it keeps track of our cash to make sure that we're in the rights. We have all the money, and we don't miss. A lot of times what guys will do, and they don't realize, is there might be $20, $40, $80 in a reject. They take that money and then they add it back in the cassette. And that money, depending on who you use, CDS or Switch or one DNS or PAI, they might count that money, they might not count that money. So that's why there always could be that discrepancy. We just choose to take it all back to the office and then put that money, new fresh money in. So you want to make sure that whatever you guys do, you're accounting for that. I know, again, people think, oh, that reject money, let me, unless you got to physically count that money down and then start from square one, it doesn't necessarily jive with the ATM. Might say, I got 100 bills and 300 in reject, and there's only one in reject. But whatever it is on the processor, that's what the total money, including the rejects, are. So you just got to know that. And sometimes that gets confusing by just adding. So that's why we always bring it back so we can count it all. All right. And I got one more question. I started swapping the money, like you said. It helps me track all the cash. For real good advice right there. Okay. Thanks, Aaron. I appreciate it. So, all right, guys. I hope this helps you guys. I wanted to thank you. Now what we're going to do is for what we do is we go over our student section, everybody who bought a course, and we have Q&A over there, accountability calls. I want to thank you guys. See me in 2 weeks. I'll be here, same ATM channel, same ATM time, 6 o'clock Central Time. Hope you guys can join. And you have any questions, we're always here to help. Let me see. I don't have anybody. I answer all the questions. So we're doing amazing. And thank you guys very much. And I will see you guys in 2 weeks at 6 o'clock. Thank you.